Hello everybody, and welcome back to the QA world. Just let me start by asking you a question. Have you ever wondered how your favorite applications are tested to ensure that they work properly? If you don't, let me introduce you the QA insurance world. It is the secret and the ingredient behind every successful product. Let me break it down to you in the simplest way possible. Now, quality assurance, or QA for short, is a systematic process used to ensure that product or service meets quality standard. So, I will try to give you some examples and make it as simple as possible for you. Let's say you have some application. Let's say you have Facebook. Okay, you want to connect to Facebook, so you make your login, your password, and you connect. So before this product can be used by you, there were a team of engineers, of testers that actually use that product and test it for you before even going to the beta phase and public beta phase or whatever. In Facebook, like in our example in Facebook, there is a team that actually tests all the products, try to connect and see if the product is working as intended, and see if there is some vulnerability, some bugs or some mistakes that were made while coding or insecurity or whatever, to ensure that they give you a quality service which you can use redundantly without any issues. So quality assurance is not just something that comes at the end. Actually, it is involved in every part of the coding process or of the producing the software. So developers or coders, they have some testing that they do, then they have integrators that do some testing, and we have dedicated tester that do some testing also to ensure that the quality of the service of the product. Okay, so this is in the simplest way the QA. What is QA? So what a QA engineer or a QA tester do actually? They are responsible for the quality of the service of the product. So at every stage, they monitor the product development process and they suggest correction that range from basic product necessity to feature improvement and optimization. In simplest way. So let's say your product is getting a weather forecast. So your product is just a front. You connect to some server, you get in the forecast, and you have a front end application that display that in your phone or your laptop or whatever to the end user. So quality assurance people, they are involved in all the process, and they try to test everything and have feedback for developers, product owner, product managers, and so on. So they can tell them, here we found mistakes that are made, so bugs that are here we see that this part is working properly, this part needs some improvement or necessitates some features, so in their work, they say, okay, we will be testing this, we have for example this many bugs, this many evolution, and this is what is working properly. Then the development team do the improvement, do the coding, and so on, and again the QA engineer team starts testing everything and make sure that there is that the service or the product is of a high standard quality. Again, the quality assurance team, they need to also troubleshoot the product or the parts of the product that is not working, so they can understand how that crucial part is not working, so the developers team can help correct that. In fact, like QA engineer or QA tester, it's like an umbrella term for many jobs. Okay, like when I talk about quality assurance tester, like it can be like someone that should do security testing, like manual testing, automation testing. They can do like data testing, if we can say that like that, but they test like the database and the quality of the data. They can do like user experience testing, so like they test the front end application and the user experience, how the user will use it, what, and they try to be in the place of the end user and see if it's good or if it's good experience or not. And in those different jobs that I said now, like we can use different methods like agile method, waterfall method, and so on. We will be talking about that in more in later video where we will talk about life of a product and the different methodology for producing a software. Now, here's some example. Like, for example, we have software as a service like SaaS. It can be Facebook, Google, whatever, and the development can be in the agile methodology. So, like in agile methodology, we have more or less 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Don't take it as like Bible. It's not a Bible. Like it's between 2 to 4 weeks. Depends on the company. Depends on a lot of other things. We will talk about that when we talk about agile methodology. But let's say we development team, like we need to give an increment of the software each 2 weeks. So the developer and tester should have everything ready in those 2 weeks. Then that's agile methodology. So we have the product, also the software has a different increment. Like each 2 weeks we have a different increment, evolution of the software with less bug and less problems. Now, let's say like we are using the waterfall methodology. So that should, like if we take a real life example, like a car, like say building a car, and we construct everything in waterfall method. Like everything is constructed, the planning, everything is done, everything is constructed, and after that everything is tested, and that's the waterfall method. And we will talking more about it in later video, but just have this image that it's waterfall. Like we don't go to the next step until the other step is done, finished, and we can go back. Unlike the agile method, where everything is going relatively in parallel manner. So, what are the qualities for a QA engineer or QA tester? Actually, there are many qualities that people that work in QA engineer jobs or QA tester, like they have to be inquisitive. They have to understand and to ask a lot of questions to understand how the products work, what are the requirements, the functional requirements, technical requirements, and so on, depending on what is their exact job. Question bad practices. Like if we have bad practices, like in the process of the product, we have to question them, whether if we can solve them. Think about how we can identify defect and have like better practices for getting the quality that we want. They have to be thorough, so they have to be obsessed with checking their work, like recreating defects, verifying defects, testing, do all the needed testing. They actually, like they have to go like not just okay, I will just test this in this manner, and okay, this is how the user how will use it. Like they had to go further than that, and like go a little bit further and test the limitation of the application, and so on, to actually verify there is no bugs, there is no like major problem in the application, and so on. So the primary job is to try to find bugs. Like every software in the world can have bugs. Like we are, it's human developing the software, and there is no perfect software in the world. So the idea is like to go and try to find those bugs and see with the development team or the coder team, if you want, to programming team, that how can we solve those bugs. The communication, like they have to communicate a lot. Like a QA engineer, like or QA tester, like they do not work alone. Like yes, you will have you can be the only QA in a team, but that does not mean you'll be working alone. Like you have to work cooperatively with the coder, with the product owner, with other member of the team. Maybe you will do some presentation for sponsors. Maybe you will have to get some experience return from a client or whatever. So they need to be able to communicate well, and in the relationship with coders they need to be very precise and very thorough and clear and concise in their communication, so that the coder understands the issue well. So it is very important for a QA tester that they have the skills, the communication, and they need to nurture it and to perfect themselves in the communication area, because like 50% of the job, 15% of the QA job is communication. Cannot work alone. Nobody can work alone. You work in teams, and your team like is have different audience that actually understand technical stuff or not. So you need to adjust your language, your communication way to the people that you are talking to. Perspective. So they need to get in the mindset, understand how the developer works, the product owner, user, how the user view the product. They need to like be able to pinpoint the issue that happen, and sometimes without the help from the logs. And just give you an example, like you're working on some application on your phone, you see a problem, so they need to actually try to understand how that issue happened, even if like you are in a pre-production environment, and in pre-production environment, like which is almost a production environment, we don't have as much logs on those environments as we may have in testing environments. So the idea is like they should understand how the software development works outside of their role, like how the coding is done. Like they don't need to be coders themselves, but need some understanding or how does it work in general, and have understanding or how their infrastructure is working in general. What are the different technical tools used, and understand them at least in a surface level. And we should not forget that QA engineer, like in general, they are the ones that been asked most questions and stuff. So they need to understand like in general how the system works, etc., so they can explain it to other. But they need it also for their work to identify bugs and know, okay, this works in this way, so I will target this part of the software in this way, so I will test their limitation and so on. If you don't know in general how it works, you cannot go beyond the surface level of testing and actually find and look for defects. So the final quality is like skilled. They need to be great at finding glitches, bugs, and defects, but that come with experience and understanding of the technical parts of the environment. Again, I'm not saying you should be like understanding it to the level of programmers or coders, but you should have an understanding how the fundamentals work and how your software that you are testing works. So the second point, they should read and write codes to fully understand the proper works and make changes as needed. This is a little bit complicated because it depends on what job of QA tester you are, or which part or where you are in the QA process. So some for example, people that do automation, so they need to read code, write code and stuff, so because they need to write scripts and so on for QA, so for testing. So for example, they use Java, Pythons, or other languages. Others they don't need to. Others they don't need to know how to write code or read code. For example, people that do user experience, they don't need actually to read code, so they can use. They just understand how it works and so on, and they can test it and see how is the user experience. So this part is depends on which part or which job exactly you are doing. So and the last point, write and run automated tested. So the 2 points, they are linked together. So you need to be able to read and write code depending on where you are in the QA process or what job you are doing, and write and run automated tests if you are an automation tester. And reading code and reading logs is not necessarily just for people that do automation. Even if you do some manual testing, but there is a lot of technical stuff, you may need to at least understand and read the code, so you can go a little bit further in your analysis before giving the developer teams your feedback, so they can correct the issue. For example, we'll just give you an example from real life, from my experience. We had this big application, and in that application we had small part of other application, or small part or other services, and we have calls between the main application and that service. So what happened is we cannot just stop, okay, we have this issue, and stop that and give to the coders, because there are different teams that do different services. So we have to be able at least to read the code and say, okay, this part is related to this service, so I will contact this team, so to tell them, okay, we have this problem with your service, this is what we are expected, but we get this information, so can you do some debugging and see why we have this issue. Okay, so the question is, can anyone become a QA tester? The short answer is it depends. Actually, the big issue in QA world is you have high technical demanding jobs when you need to be to understand and have very high technical knowledge. For example, if you are a security tester and stuff, you need to understand how packages working, how internet work, and other stuff, protocols and all that stuff. And we have, in the other hand, for example, user experience and stuff. Yeah, it does not require any high technical skill. It does require some skills like we talked about, being thorough, communication and so on, but not high technical skill. So anybody can do it. So in that, we have these two extremes, but we have a lot of things in the middle. So and the one thing that need to be said, like if you are in QA tester and you want to become a QA tester and stuff, you need to be able to learn on the job. You need to be able to learn on the job, because you will have a lot of information, a lot of learning stuff that will happen in your job, and the fundamentals, they don't change. Okay, the fundamentals, but from one software to another, there will be like different tools used, different programming language, different databases, different server used. So there is a lot of things to take on and to absorb in this role. So you need to be able to learn on the job. And one last thing, like for people like that are coming from other fields, like they can also become QA tester, but in this particular particular case, or for people that are not from the software development world, they are not software engineer, like qualification like ISTQB and so on, like some certification, can be a good way to absorb the fundamental of testing, and can give you an edge for becoming a QA tester. So thank you for being here. We will have more videos about different methodology, certification, everything, the fundamentals that you need to know for the QA testing. So see you in the next video.